the course of this video, we're going to be redoing a lot of the lights on the Golf. It's needed to be done pretty badly. If you go watch some earlier videos, you'll see that the lights are just really screwed up in this car, and I got it to where they all work, but they're not right. So I want to make it all right and do everything proper this time around. So what I have is, this is just the stock harness. The car actually has like a quick release almost harness. I've chopped that mesh line over there as everything pretty much that I chopped off of this. So all I have is just the bare wires that come from all the pins back here, and that's it. So I'm going to use this to make a brand new harness for the lights. How I'm going to test it is I've got this light. This also came out of the car. I don't have like a multimeter or anything to test like the grounds and stuff and the voltage, so I'm just going to take that and hook one wire up to the ground and hook the positive wire on this up to any one of these wires and see which switch inside the car triggers it, and then from there I'll be able to figure out which wire goes to which light, which one goes to high beams, low beams, turn signals, etc. A notepad out there, I'm going to be writing down like the color and what it is, and then I'll be able to come inside where it's not 20 degrees and solder up a harness. Here's my setup. So I've got just the harness plugged in where it always had before, and I was taking the ends of the wires right here. This is the ground, and this one right here is the positive, and immediately figured out that the orange wire was the ground, which was very easy. I kind of guessed it was because I remember running into that wire a few times when I tried to fix this harness originally. So figured out that was the ground. I was able to test everything else and wrote everything down on this piece of paper. I just did all of them, figured out what everything was. I've got both turn signals, high beams and low beams all figured out. So now, and my running lights as well, which I'll be using for something else potentially, we'll see. But yeah, I've got everything figured out now, so it is time to go inside and start assembling a harness. So we're in the basement and we're ready to begin building the wire harness. So in front of me is everything I need. Here is the stock harness plug, my notes with all the what all the wires are, a lighter, heat shrink. The lighter is for the heat shrink, some corrugated plastic for the harness to make it look pretty, and it's blue, so it's kind of, you know, works with the car a little bit. It'll clean things up. A cheapo soldering gun and some solder. I don't know what kind this is, but it was all really cheap from the auto store, so I bought it. Cable cutters, and of course I got different colored wire. Black is going to be for the grounds, yellow for the turn signals, red for the high beams, white for the low beams. Got these quick disconnect connectors because this is what my aftermarket headlights use. And I got these little cap things. These are going to be to plug off any wires I'm not going to use to make sure they don't ground out or short out on anything. And that is it. And of course, you should probably use a better strip cord than this. I'm going to try and do like a time lapse here. I'm going to kind of do a little bit of an editing experiment, try different things with editing with this video. So I'm going to set it up with my suction cup mount, which I recently got, and try to do a time lapse of me assembling this harness. Alright, so it's actually been a couple days since I started working on this harness. Did a little bit of a time lapse and then the camera battery died, so I had to stop. But I got a little bit, so there was that. I'll give that a try and see how the time lapse thing works. But anyway, here's the harness finished. And as you can see, I got these quick disconnects on the end, and they're shrink wrapped around them to make them look better and to give them a little bit better rigidity. And then I did solder inside, like on the ends. I poked the wire through a little bit and then soldered, but you can't see it underneath the shrink wrap. The other side is the same. I'm gonna go and get the sockets for the other bulb and then strip all of the other lights out of the car and plug this harness in, and then we should be at least finished with this portion. Let's go to the car and try to put this in. Alright, so I've been out working on the car for a little bit. It is really, really cold outside. And now the harness is actually completely plugged in. And right there, it's just chilling underneath the cowl right now. These are the wires for the halos on the headlights. These weren't connected to that ghetto harness. They're actually connected to what used to be the wires for the PCV heater. There's some of the wad of wires I removed. I pulled the turn signals off this bumper. I still cannot get to this bottom bulb. Don't know if I'm ever going to be able to. I also put a new oil pressure gauge in the car. This one reads up to 150 psi. So hopefully it won't peg itself out when the car's cold, because that's what it was doing with the other one. I was worried it was going to blow out. So just messing with wires, because I had a bunch of them to remove, obviously. And I got the oil line and this is the wire. This one's attached to the horn, and I believe this is also the one that I have the power for the light on the oil pressure gauge hooked up to. There's the horn wire going in. This is the one going out. The clear one's the one that goes out into the engine bay. Got a bunch of zip ties, chop off of this. These are the two wires for the turn signals, which I don't need anymore, because I literally, if you watch an older video, I ran wires from the rear of the car all the way up. You can see them down under there, and if I pop the hatch open, we'll be able to take a look at them back here. So I literally tapped into this wire right here on the turn signal and ran it all the way up there. Alright guys, so I am completely done. That thing is so loud. I am completely done doing wiring on the car. Look at this mess that I pulled out of it. And this isn't all of it. There is a lot that I recycled and reused for other things. I did a lot of rewiring on the interior after I removed all that stuff, because I had all the fuse taps and everything that had stuff all over them. My battery's going to die soon, probably before I get done. So I did a lot of wiring, cleaning up stuff down there, relocating things. Alright, so the camera did die, but I plugged it in real quick, and we've got just enough charge to finish this, hopefully. So I don't remember where I was at, but here is what the engine bay looks like now. I don't have all those wires strung up here, just this one that's hooked up to the horn, which runs over to here. All that is gone. Everything runs off of this and out. Here's the wires for the halos, which curl up to here. So engine bay looks way cleaner. Everything works perfectly. I did a little bit of cleanup on the wiring inside the car down here. You can still see there's kind of a mess down here, but it's not nearly as bad, especially with being less wires running through. No more wires and tape all along down there. So if you look back here, you can see the two resistors back there, which are the only things running off the wires tapped off of the turn signals, so which cleaned everything up a lot back here. And I obviously don't have the wire running from the back all the way up to the front anymore. I showed you guys the mess of wires, and I'm so glad to have that mess cleaned up. It looks so much better everywhere, and it's just a peace of mind thing. And now when I look down here, I don't see a bunch of wires all over by my feet and shit. So yeah, one other thing, this shifter, actually, you'll notice I removed the cup holders and stuff. I don't know if I showed you guys that. I think I did, actually. But the shifter linkage on this car literally snapped the other day on me. I'm going to show you guys what broke and how I fixed it in case it ever happens to you. So this bolt right here, before there was like a pressed in or like a spot welded or something bolt that was in there, and it literally snapped right here where it slides in. And when it snapped, it ripped both the cable bushings out of the cables, so both cables were disconnected. I had to go under the car, drop the shift box out, and reattach all of that stuff, put it all back in. I had to take an angle grinder and cut this plastic piece. I cut a bunch off about the width of the nut over here and cut a little bit more off of here so that everything was the right size, but the geometry of the shifter is still pretty much the same, and it actually cleaned up the shifting a little bit. There's way less side-to-side play, and it just feels a little bit better now, but it really sucked when it happened the first time. So if this happens to you, first thing you gotta do is remove the rest of that bolt. I just, since it snapped right here, this seems to be the weak spot, was right in there. I just took a drill and drilled all the way through, and then got a bolt. I don't remember how long this was. It might have been 25. No, I wish I could remember how long it was. It might have been 30 mils. And 2 nuts. And what you do is you take the bolt, run it. Oh, you gotta grind stuff off the sides to make it skinnier. But I didn't have to take too much off. But you do that, and then you take 2 nuts that fit the bolt, and you put one on one side of the bolt and of the bracket, and one on the other side. And then you tighten the 2 nuts together, and that holds this entire assembly up. And then you adjust how close this one is to that one to adjust the play. So you kind of have to loosen this one, tweak this one, tighten them up again, check it, and see how it works. It takes a minute, but once you got it dialed, you are good to go, and it works perfect. So I just wanted to share that just in case that happens to you guys at some point, because that really fucking sucked. So, you know, everything's perfect. It goes into first gear a little bit easier now, because occasionally it used to fight me. The shifter still needs like a rebuild and all new bushings and stuff in it, but it's a lot better. There's still a little bit of vertical play and stuff, but it's not as bad as it was. So yeah, that's gonna be the end of this video. I want to thank you guys for watching this. I know we didn't do a whole lot, and but I wanted to make some sort of a video because I haven't been doing much. We're still waiting to get builds rolling here. It's cold as fuck outside. We're all busy. We just haven't really gotten to anything. Plus, this thing likes to be a piece of shit and break all the time. So now you guys understand what I mean when I say this thing just breaks just weird stuff. It's never anything normal. It's always weird shit. Anyway, that's it for this video. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more videos, and I will see you guys in the next one.